Grr. Yo, it's Pa. We back, man. I ain't gonna lie, it's 8:12 right now. I'm like, yo, I need to get my vids done. I'm wildin'. But let's just get straight into it. We got impossible things scientists just proved are real. Let's see what they finna talk about, cause
imagine turning
it's
on
so
your kitchen
much.
tap.
Let me make sure it's so much things that like. Oh, it is okay. I'm sure.
And having actual boiling water come out. That's basically what's happening in the Amazon rainforest right now.
But there's so much things that's going on that we
it can
don't
literally
know.
cook you alive. We're talking about water
Like
that
what?
reaches 196 degrees Fahrenheit. That's
How?
hot enough to make a cup of tea, or in this case, human soup. For years, scientists thought this was just a myth. A boiling river
Like
in the
how,
middle of the
bro?
rainforest seemed as likely as finding a snowman in the desert. This river isn't just a little stream. It's 4 miles long. That's like 70 football fields of scalding hot water. Now, you might be thinking it must be near a volcano. Nope. The nearest active volcano is over 400 miles away. The water is so hot that if a small animal falls in, it gets cooked from the inside out. Local shamans have known about this river for centuries. They call it Shanai Timpishka,
I wonder how many
which means
bodies they
boiled
doing
with
that
the
among.
heat of the sun. Turns out, there are huge cracks in the Earth's crust underneath. Hot water from deep underground shoots up through these fault lines like nature's own hot water heater. This natural wonder is under threat from deforestation. Scientists are now racing to study and protect this place, because once it's gone, we might never see anything like it again. Number 9, the unsinkable metal. Drop a chunk of metal into water and it sinks every time. But scientists at the University of Rochester just created a metal that refuses to sink. This isn't some magnet trick. It's real metal that tells gravity to take a hike. Even if you force it underwater, it shoots back up like a cork. Drill holes in this metal, and it still won't sink. It's like having a boat with holes in it that just keeps floating. Scientists looked at some weird places for inspiration. Diving bell spiders, which build underwater air bubbles, and fire ants, which form living rafts by trapping air between their bodies. Using super powerful lasers, they carved tiny patterns into the metal's surface. These patterns trap tiny pockets of air, creating a force field that water can't break through. It's like the metal is wearing an invisible life jacket. The craziest part? When you push this metal underwater, it doesn't just float back up. It literally jumps out of the water. Scientists found that it converts the water's surface tension into kinetic energy. In other words, it turns the water's pushiness into a springboard. Imagine ships that can't sink even if they're damaged. Ones that laugh in the face of icebergs. Number 8, fire that burns on ice. Imagine holding a chunk of ice in your hand, but instead of cooling your palm, it bursts into flames. Scientists have found exactly that. Ice that burns. They call it methane hydrate, but a cooler name for it is fire ice. This stuff looks exactly like normal ice, but it's hiding an explosive secret. Inside this ice, there are tiny cages made of water molecules, and trapped inside these cages is methane, the same stuff that makes your stove burn. When you heat this ice up or let it depressurize, the methane escapes. Light a match near it, and you've got ice that's on fire. Scientists have found massive deposits of this stuff at the bottom of our oceans. We're talking about enough fire ice to potentially power the entire world for hundreds of years. Number 7, brain-to-brain communication. You're sitting in a room, thinking about moving your hand. Nothing weird about that. But someone in another room suddenly moves their hand because of your thought. This isn't sci-fi anymore. Scientists at the University of Washington actually pulled this off. They put a cap with electrodes on one person's head, the sender. When the sender thinks about moving their hand, their brain creates tiny electrical signals. The cap picks up these signals and sends them through the internet to another person, the receiver. The receiver is sitting there when suddenly a magnetic pulse hits their motor cortex, the part of your brain that controls movement. And just like that, their hand moves. Not because they wanted it to, but because someone else thought about it. It's like having a really aggressive backseat driver, but for your body. One person's brain is literally controlling another person's body through the internet. Before you worry about people controlling you through Wi-Fi, this only works with very simple movements, and you need a lot of expensive equipment. Still, the implications are huge. Imagine helping someone who's paralyzed move their hands again, or teaching someone a physical skill from across the world. Number 6, diamond rain on other planets. Imagine a place where it rains diamonds, not just a few sparkly drops, but massive chunks of pure diamond falling from the sky. Scientists just proved this actually happens on Neptune and Uranus. These planets are basically giant diamond-making factories. Deep inside these planets, intense pressure and heat rip apart methane gas. The pressure is millions millions of times
Methane
stronger
is
than
something,
Earth's
my boy.
atmosphere. The hydrogen from the methane floats away, leaving the carbon atoms behind. And when you squeeze carbon under that kind of extreme pressure, you get diamonds. But these aren't your typical engagement ring diamonds. Scientists think they could be millions of carats in size. That's like having diamonds the size of cars falling through the planet's atmosphere. Scientists proved this was real by recreating these conditions in a lab. They created a tiny version of Neptune's atmosphere and shot it with powerful lasers. For a split second, they saw tiny diamonds, nanodiamonds, forming right before their eyes. Number 5. Living machines from cells. Scientists just created something straight out of a sci-fi movie. They built tiny living robots using frog cells. They took a bunch of frog skin and heart cells, rearranged them like living Legos, and created a brand new life form. They're called
This nigga just said okay.
Xenobots, and they're neither animal
They're
nor
rearranging
robot. These little guys are
cells and
smaller than a grain of salt.
Bro.
They can move around,
Like,
work
what?
together, and even heal themselves when damaged. But here's where it gets crazy. They can reproduce, not like
What
frogs do.
the
These xenobots find and scoop up loose cells in their dish and assemble them into new copies of themselves.
Bro.
And they're doing it all without any genetic modification. The scientists basically just gave the cells a new body plan, and life figured out the rest. Scientists think these could be used to clean up microplastics in the ocean, or deliver medicine directly to cells in your body. Tiny living robots swimming through your bloodstream,
they never
fixing
actually
things
use
up like a
anything for
microscopic
good,
repair
so-
crew. This is just the beginning. We're literally watching the birth
The
of an entirely new
possibilities
class of life
of the
form.
good things
Number
happening
4,
are very
memories
low.
transplanted between creatures. Imagine waking up tomorrow with someone else's memories. Sounds impossible, but scientists just proved it can be done, at least in sea slugs. Researchers at UCLA trained sea slugs to be scared of getting touched.
How do you
Every
do
time
that?
they touched one, they'd give it a small electric shock. Soon, these slugs would curl up defensively for a long time whenever anything touched them. Then, the scientists extracted RNA from
Like,
these
bro, why are they
traumatized
sitting here
slugs' brains.
abusing
They
these
injected this
animals?
RNA into completely normal slugs who had never been shocked before, and the impossible happened. These new slugs started acting terrified of being touched, curling up
Wow.
for just as long as the trained slugs, even though they'd never experienced the
That's
shock
crazy.
themselves. They literally transferred a memory from one creature to another through a simple injection. It's like downloading
Wow,
someone
that's
else's
crazy.
fear directly into your brain. Scientists think this could eventually be huge for understanding memory, but it also opens a Pandora's box of dark possibilities. What we thought was impossible
really?
just became very, very real. Number 3, the first real invisibility cloak. In Harry Potter, he
yeah, I
throws
saw
on a
this.
cloak and becomes invisible. Scientists have finally created something similar in a lab.
Like,
They've
I
created a
saw some
material
video
that can
of that,
bend light
yeah.
around an object, making
yeah.
it disappear. Right now, this only works for really small objects, things smaller than a paperclip. But this isn't some camera trick or green screen
But that's
magic.
crazy
This is
though, bro.
actual physical invisibility. The material is made of tiny gold blocks, each one about 50 times smaller than a human hair. These blocks are
Damn.
arranged in a
50
pattern that basically
times
tells light to
smaller?
go around the object instead of bouncing off it. Think of it like a stream of water hitting a rock. The water splits and flows around the rock, then comes back together on the other side like nothing was ever there. Previous attempts at invisibility only worked from one specific angle, but this new material makes objects invisible no matter where you're standing. Scientists tested it by putting a tiny bump on a mirror and covering it with this material. When they looked at the mirror, the bump was completely gone, like it never
Damn.
existed. The technology could eventually be used to hide larger objects, maybe even people. Number 2,
dang.
reviving dead brains. Scientists at Yale University took
Bro,
pig brains
why
from
are
a
they-
slaughterhouse. These brains had
From
been
a
dead
s-
for
and
4
then it's
hours.
from a
No blood flow,
slaughterhouse,
no
bro.
oxygen, nothing. They created a special fluid called Brain X. Think of it like a life support system for individual brain cells.
X,
They pumped this
bro.
fluid through the dead brain's arteries, and something impossible
it
happened. The
comes
brain cells started
alive.
working again.
Oh
Not just a
my,
few cells,
how are they
billions of them.
doing
They were
this,
consuming
bro?
sugar and producing carbon dioxide. They were alive.
This
Now,
is
these
insane.
brains weren't thinking or conscious. They were just on. It's like
Yeah,
your phone
literally.
being plugged in, but the screen is off. The experiment proved we were wrong about how long brain cells can survive without oxygen. We thought it was minutes. Turns out it's hours. It suggests that death is more of a gradual process than an on-off switch. This could change how we treat brain injuries from stroke and trauma. But it raises wild questions about when someone is actually dead. In fact, the scientists had to add chemicals
OD,
to
'cause if
stop
the-
the brains from becoming fully active because nobody was ready to deal with the ethical nightmare of a conscious, disembodied brain. Number 1,
No.
star in a jar. Scientists just
Somewhere-
did something that was once pure fantasy.
A
They created a
star
tiny
in
star
a
on
jar,
Earth, achieving
bro?
nuclear fusion. And for the first time,
How-
they got more energy out than they put in.
Bro,
This is the same
how are they
process that
doing all this
powers our
shit,
sun.
man?
At a lab in California, They shot 192
Bro.
giant lasers at a tiny capsule of fuel smaller than a peppercorn. The temperatures inside hit 100 million degrees Celsius. That's about 6 times
What
hotter than the
the
center of the sun.
freak?
No material
Bro,
in the
how are
universe
they
can contain it. If even a
hotter
tiny
than
bit
the
of this
sun,
plasma
bro?
touched the walls of a reactor, it would instantly vaporize them. In fusion
Kamehameha,
reactors,
bro.
they keep this mini-star from destroying everything with a cage of powerful magnets, making it float
Like,
in midair.
what the
This breakthrough
they
could
can't
solve
even
our energy
destroy
problems
this
forever.
shit, bro.
The fuel for fusion comes from seawater. One bathtub of
Oh my
seawater could
goodness.
produce as much energy as 40 train cars full of coal. And unlike regular nuclear power, fusion doesn't create long-lived radioactive waste. If something goes wrong, the reaction just stops. For a split second,
shit.
that tiny fuel capsule produced more power than all the power plants in the United States
What
combined.
the
We just took a
freak?
massive step toward harnessing the power of the stars. That's all for
Oh
Let's
shit.
get right into it.
Oh, freak.
Number
Oh
10.
shit. Oh,
Let's get right into
crap.
it. Number
Nah, W video. I like watching stuff like this because it's like, bro, there's so much things that we don't know that's going on. In so much ways that we can be helped, but won't be used to help us. It should be crazy. And if it is used to help us, it's gonna be charged OD. Only the ones with money for real gonna be able to buy this shit. But someday we'll have superheroes. But WVid, shout out to my son Chill Dude Explains. I need to start watching him more. I did see the other videos that popped up, but I gotta see what they are. Matter of fact, might as well check right now. Like, why not? Because I probably react to
we
one
just
of
took
the
a
other
massive
shits.
step toward
That's
harnessing the
crazy
power of the
though, like-
stars. That's all for today.
Things that disappeared after humans got too good at them. I actually might, either that. Yeah, I might, I don't know which one. But I'm gonna see. Second video about to come out. Love y'all, man. Make sure y'all be safe. Keep trying to do what you gotta do. Keep trying to grow. Keep trying to love. Keep trying to be the best you that can be. And make sure you locked in, bro. Safety, man. Love y'all. Love to the members, gang.